Hello. Okay, in this video I'm going to share with you what I saw inside my dad's HIFI speakers. It's the Phillips speakers. They were bought in 1974, a year before I was born. So I remember them when I was very young. They've been with us since they were bought brand new. Couples up with the Goodmans Module 90 tuner amplifier from the same year, 1974. The whole stereo system was bought in 1974. The record player was a Phillips 212 electronic, and the speakers are the Phillips HIFI speakers. It's got 3 speakers per inside each unit, so it's 6 speakers altogether. So I've already done videos inside by taking the amplifier, opening it up. I've done a video inside taking the record player apart as well. Now, the amplifier was sent off to a company called Perton Electronics down in Wolverhampton, and the guy that does the repairs, he's known as Mend It Mark. I've done a video actually of a tour around his workshop 2 years ago, was it? No, last year it was. So he restored up our amplifier. The record player I drove it to a place in Edinburgh, and I got, because that was done separately, and there was a company there that just sorted that out. But the amplifier was the big thing that was sent down to Mend It Mark, and it's now sent back up. My dad's an electrical engineer. Well, he's retired now, but that was his trade, as well as doing other things as well, almost mechanical stuff and all the rest of it. But he's deciding to recap some of the capacitors inside the speakers. So he's removed the front dress panel. I could show you more in detail about where that fits on and how it fits on. I'm not actually doing any of the work on it, but I could show you what the components and that look like, and I could tell you my knowledge of what I understand as to how it works from what Dad explained to us, and just from the knowledge that I already know. My dad's busy at the moment. He's out in the car at the moment. He's not here, so I'm just going to have to give you my knowledge, which is obviously limited. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I am interested in that sort of stuff. So I guess it rubs off in the family. And my dad's been an electrical engineer. That's his trade, so he knows what he's talking about. Although he's done lots of other things as well, like a handyman kind of thing. And when I was younger and that, throughout the 80s, and when I was growing up, I used to watch my dad repair things. I was fascinated in it as well. Now that I think back on it, I wished I took it to, further and got right into that field of work and become a qualified electrician myself. But it's just how things go, isn't it? It's all different. But yeah, it's a hobby, I just like learning. So that's why I'm doing this video, just to share with you for like-minded people that would like to see inside these speakers. I've also done videos on my channel where I actually take things apart that are just destined for the bin, for the skip basically. I've took them apart, took them to pieces, just break them to pieces in some instances if need be, just to see what's inside them. And again, I just use the knowledge my understanding. Don't quote me on it, because as I say, I'm not an electrical engineer, but I just tell you how I understand it to work, just my view. It's just for entertainment purposes only. That's what this video is about as well. So it's not to be quoted, but I'm just going to show you anyway the inside of these speakers. So I'll go and show you first of all what the speaker looks like. So the front's already off. This is what the actual speaker looks like. It's the High Fidelity International, and they are rated at 30 watts per channel. So I'll just have to limit what I could show you, because it's just going to focus in on this speaker and the stuff. So I'll turn it around and show you the back. It's the that's just for left-hand speaker, right-hand speakers. The other one, which is just sitting somewhere else at the moment in the room, and just showing you this one for an example. Circuit diagram, because there is actually a circuit inside the speaker box. There's 3 speakers. There's a big bass woofer speaker, there's a mid-range frequency speaker, and there's the tweeter. I think that's 5 inch, is it? Try and zoom in for you. 8-inch, 5-inch, and the tweeter it doesn't say. And that's the circuit diagram, because there's a circuit inside there as well. The record player, the Phillips 212 electronic, is this one. I've been sent it off for restoration. Well, I actually drove it to the place to get... I drove the record player to a place in Edinburgh that does them, and I collected it myself. The amplifier was sent off by delivery because that was quite a considerable distance, done in Wolverhampton. It certainly wasn't wanting to be driving all the way down there, so I delivered it. I got it delivered. That's the record player anyway, the HIFI record player. The Goodmans amplifier, oops, it's not the best example, but I have done a video on this before. It's tucked in at the cabinet at the moment and not going to take it all out. But that's what the amplifier looks like anyway, from what I could show you at the moment. Mind that Mark has done a video of this amplifier being restored, one of his videos on his channel. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description to it. So that makes up my dad's HIFI system. It's an amplifier tuner, 90 watt amplifier, 45 watts per channel, coupled up with this HIFI record player. So that's the other speakers sitting just at the other part of the room. I'm only going to film so much inside the room because there's things in here that I won't be disclosing on YouTube, so I've got to be careful. So you'll just see this speaker. The other speaker looks identical. This is the left hand speaker. So it's been opened already, and that's took out the woofer speaker, as you will see. There's the circuit board. But to get into the speaker to start with, the front comes off. No, it's flush with the body, the body of the speaker, the bodywork, the casing, the wooden box of the speaker. It's flush with it. That's how it would look. To get the speaker off, it's the front part of the speaker. To get into the speaker, the front comes off. The back, as you know, as I showed you earlier, it's flush. There's nothing on the back that could be unscrewed. There's nothing on the bottom either. It's just a varnished box case. The front comes off quite easily. It's already been removed, so I could show you. So it's because I've just loosely fitted it back into its original position. But to get it off, it's just to be gently pried off, and it comes off like this. Basically, the fixtures are as such. It's like Velcro, but it isn't. It's plastic like Velcro, which just matches up with one at each corner. So at the bottom corners, top corners, and you got the corresponding bits there. So that's what it looks like. It's just like Velcro. It marries up, or meets up, matches up with those, and that basically just, as you say, it's just a pried off gently to get the front off. And when the front's off, you could then access the speakers. The speakers are in like in situ. The circuit board, there is a circuit board built into these speakers. Now, it's quite awkward, but I could somehow get the camera in there to show you what it looks like inside the box. The woofer speaker, also known as, basically it's the bass speaker, the one for the low frequencies. This is it here. It's 20 watts. The whole unit is 30 watts. But this particular speaker within the unit is 20 watts, and this is what it looks like. There was a problem with one of them. My dad did repair it, and I'll go through that with you in a minute. That's the circuit board that's built into the speaker casing. That fits on to these wooden runners inside the case. The wire here, which the plug's off at the moment, but that connects into the amplifier, the back of the amplifier, comes in from the back of the speaker, and then it connects up to the circuit board. Now my dad knows where all the wires go. From the circuit board, you've got wires that run up to the speakers. That's the I'll go into the components on the circuit board in a minute. So I'll just show you the front again. That's the front. It's kind of like a felt, jute felt-like material, fabric material, and it's wooden backing. It's a good quality speaker. These cost a fortune in its day, but Dad did tell me that the whole unit, the whole stereo system that he bought, amplifier, record player and speakers, cost quite a lot. It was in sort of like the mid-range hi-fi, between the mid and top end. It was an expensive setup. So you got average, and this would be something like between average and top. It was, so if, for example, for argument's sake, let's just say 1's bottom, 10's the best, average is 5. This would be somewhere along 7.5 mark, to put it in kind of like to put it kind of rough kind of scale of looking on it, I suppose. So that's the front off of the speaker, and I'm going to stick the camera inside this box, inside the actual case, and show you what it's like inside here. There is like a kind of wool like insulation at the back of the box, which is something I observed, something that I observed. I didn't know that. I was interested when I was a kid. I always wanted to know what was inside these speakers. My dad didn't want to take them apart unless it was absolutely necessary. I did ask him if he could open the speakers up, just so I could see inside them, but he didn't want to do that. He did open up the amplifier because there was repairs that were needing done on it, and I was fascinated to see inside that. He also opened up the record player back in the days for various repairs, and I was always very interested to see inside. The speakers weren't needing to be opened up. He wasn't keen on opening them up because, you know, you've got to pry the front off. So we never did get around to opening them up until now. And now, so many years later, I mean, this is going back, what? Oh, gosh, I've been wanting to know inside these speakers since the early 80s. The early 80s, I would have been like, oh gosh. Well, I'd have been in primary school and I was really interested now in finally getting to see inside them. And like 49-year-old, knowing all these decades later I could get to see inside. So yeah, I'm quite excited and quite interested to see what's inside them. And this video is just to show those that are like-minded that would also like to see inside them. So I'm now going to stick the camera inside it and see what footage I could get for you. So, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm just going to try something in the... No. I don't know if that's going to actually do the job or not. I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I don't quite know what I'm capturing here. It's a bit of a hit and a miss because I can't get in anymore. So I've put the camera on the auto in the fixed position so it doesn't jump picture about all over the shot. I try to keep it steady picture. It's not great, but unfortunately that's all I could show you at the moment. It's the best I could do. It's going to be upside down, left, right and everything. It's not in any specific order, but what can I do? It's probably just a bit of a nuisance, but I'm just trying my best. Jeez, peeps, this is a bit of a nuisance. I'm trying to see. Yo, this was like. So the problem is I can't see what I'm filming, eh? You know what I mean? I can't see what I'm filming, eh? So I'm just hitting a miss and just going through. I could try and keep it steady and show you the best I can, and I'm afraid that's just going to hit a day. That's the best I can do at the moment. I don't think my dad's taking these speakers out, so I'll just see how that came out. So I'm going to give it another shot. To see what that writing was at the back of that mid-range speaker, which is not. So get that silver. It's like a. The thing is, I can't see what I'm filming, eh? So I could only just make out part of the screen for one and try my best to see what I could see. Jeez. It's so annoying because I'm trying to get that number that's on that on the speaker. Try this. I've got to be careful, I don't want to dislodge anything. No, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. So I was able to get the numbers. What I done is I played it back and enabled to pause video at certain points, and I got part of the number and I just played it on a little bit more advanced it, paused it. Now I've got the sort of like serial number and big long number on the back of it. That satisfies me on the back of that mid-range. The tweeter, I got what there was at the back of that as well. So I've got really and showed really all there is to see inside there. The speakers are mounted to this back plate here. There is a bit of a gasket like foam like not sealer but absorber, I suppose, to prevent vibrations within the speaker, because it's a hi-fi acoustic speaker. You don't want any unwanted noise. Again, that's just like a sort of sponge buffer, sort of absorb any vibrations. Now, this is the big speaker here, the big bass speaker. The problem was, there was a problem with it. It wasn't working too well, and this sort of small circuit board bit here had worked itself loose. It was riveted onto the metal case, but it worked itself loose due to vibration, because the speaker produces a lot of vibration, being a big, deep, powerful bass speaker. And the wire there, you can see the solder on it at the back of that. So you've got one wire you can see close up, the copper one, and there's one behind it. You can maybe just make it out. There's a copper bit on it there. That wire had broke due to the circuit board being basically unsecured, and then with the vibrations produced from the speaker, Dad reckons anyway, that wire at the back, you can just make it out. It keeps going out of focus annoyingly, but there. So you got that one at the front, the one at the back, you can see the soldered pair. That was the one that was broke, which means the speaker didn't work. And that was because the circuit board here was loose. And then, well, the thing is, it must have worked itself loose when it was still connecting up, because it was producing sound. And it was the bass speaker then would have set up a vibration, because this is loose, and eventually it broke the wire and it doesn't work anymore. So that's that. My dad's fixed it up, sealed it back on. There is a gasket that goes right round, gasket I suppose, it goes round the circumference of the speaker that meets up with the wooden case. Now, the circuit board is here. It's the same with the other speaker. This speaker is identical to the other one. The other one's at the other, that's sitting over there, out the road, and not filming over there, and just filming here at this table. But it's just the same anyway, so it's this is good enough. Circuit board, that was located, as I probably showed you earlier, it was located there. Now I could show you again. I'm just sending a couple of photos that I took, because my dad took photos of when he was doing the task of taking it apart. I wasn't there to film it, so he took some photos for us. So I've took a photo of the photo from the camera. I think that's him come through now. So I'll just show you that now. I'm afraid this is the best I could do at the moment for you, but anyway, the speaker is just basically, that's it in situ. It sits on the two wooden bits there. It's not very clear, but that's just going to have to do, I'm afraid. That's all I've got at the moment. But you get the idea of it, I hope. There and there. And what it's doing is this capacitor. It's radio capacitors, meaning there's a capacitor inside this casing. This casing isn't electrically connected up in any way. It's just the protective casing my dad was explaining. These are inductors. These coils and components, inductors. I keep thinking they were called inducers, but they're inductors. My dad corrected me. Resistor, another capacitor. Now, like I was saying, these capacitors are in this protective cover. Inside there is the actual capacitor that's electrically connected up. This one's on its way out. It's beginning to fail. And he's going to recap them. He's going to replace them. Replace the capacitors. He'll do this one and the other circuit board, which is identical. you'll replace the capacitor on that as well. So they're both done. The purpose of the circuit board is, to basically separate the frequencies that are coming out from the amplifier. So let's just get this light off a minute. Well, maybe keep it on. Right, so the signal comes from the amplifier. The musical signal comes out from the amplifier through this wire, which goes in the back of this casing, comes in from the casing into the inside of the speaker. The other end of this wire connects up to this circuit board, which contains, this wire will contain the musical signal that has been amplified. It goes into this circuit board. This circuit board is like a filter circuit board. It filters out the frequencies into the correct order and sends them to the correct speaker. So the bass frequencies, the low pitched frequencies, will be filtered out using the inductor and corresponding capacitor. I don't know which ones they are. This is a very brief description of my understanding on it. My dad's an electrical engineer. He would go to the scientific side of it, or the engineering side of it, and just giving you my brief understanding of it. There's an inducer with its corresponding, or inductor with its, see I get mixed up, this inductor with its corresponding capacitor. That acts as a filter to filter the correct frequencies to correspond to the correct speaker. So the low pitch frequencies will go to the woofer speaker. The slightly higher up frequencies will go to the mid-range speaker, and the highest frequencies will go to the top, the tweeter. That's the high-pitched frequencies. The middle speaker is the mid-range frequencies. The bottom speaker, the big bass speaker, is the low range frequencies, or the bass. That's what contains most of the energy. Deep sounds contain more energy than higher pitch notes with the same volume, I believe. So that was also responsible for, Dad reckons, for loosening off this circuit board. So anyway, the circuit board here that's its main job, basically, very basically description. It just takes the signal in from this wire, which is, so the music will play from the record player or the radio, whatever. It will be amplified with the amplifier. The signal will be amplified, then it will be transmitted along this wire. So come into the circuit board. This circuit board will divide up the frequencies and send them to the correct speaker. And it does that using a series of inductors with its corresponding capacitors. These are capacitors that are encased in a protective cover. They're not electrically connected up. The electrical connections are inside there. They connect up to the circuit board. There's another, I can't remember what my dad called. I know it's a capacitor, but there was a name for it. I think he called these chokes as well. Chokes. This is all like, these are radio capacitors. The reason they're silver coated, encased in a silver or a metal case, is this is to protect the capacitors from interference, radiation interference, other signals in other words, because it's sensitive circuit. It's a sensitive capacitor because it's the audio setup, and they use them in radios, and it doesn't want to be interfered. It doesn't want to get interference from other sources, other radio sources, or even indeed arcing from like light switches when you switch a switch on or something like that. Well, certainly the old ones. I don't know about the new ones nowadays. It's all electronics and relays, but even the relay produces the circuits, arc I suppose, but when you unplug things. But electrical devices anyway that could set up an electromagnetic radio frequency. So it's just shielding it from radio frequencies. It doesn't want to be interfering with other radio frequencies because it will affect all this acoustic. This is all for the sound, and it's a HIFI. So this metal case reflects and prevents interference signals from other external sources going inside here. So they encase the capacitor in this exterior casing. They have got to be glued in and firmly fitted. Everything's got to be firmly sealed. The gaskets and everything. Everything's got to be sealed tight, because if anything's loose, right, and this vibrates, because it does, the speaker works on vibration principle, it vibrates air molecules. And that will cause anything loose to vibrate or resonate with the sound, and that will just affect the sound. And this being hi-fi, you know, you pay top dollar for it. You don't want to be having something that won't sound as good as it could. So they put a lot of effort into reducing all that by making sure everything's sealed up and tight. All the bits on the boards are all fixed in and firmly fitted. They've even got this insulation wool here as well for, sound deadening, I suppose, just to keep everything. It's there for a reason anyway, a good reason. And being sound, it'll probably there to not let the sound go out the back and keep the sound contained in this area to enhance the sound frequency, I presume. My dad would give you a much better explanation, but like I did say at the start of this video, don't quote me on it. This is only for entertainment purposes only, and only using my general knowledge on how it is and what it's there for. So, and it's mainly just to show you what it looks like and what's inside one of these 50-year-old speakers, because it's 2024 now, and they were bought in 1974, so they're 50-year-old, and this is how they were built and the sort of technology that was around for these sort of things. And this was, as I said, was a mid-range to top, you know, hi-fi quality. It wasn't cheap, that's for sure. It was quite high up there in the sort of premium, you know, for his day. So yeah, this comes off by gently prising it off. Just a wee recap. Fits on with these sort of Velcro like connectors, one at each corner, 2 at the bottom, there and there, meet up with there, and there. And dress trim, aluminium for decorative purposes. Nice varnish case, well put together. Insulation, circuit board fits on there. It's a wooden box. I did show as much as I can by sticking the camera inside it for you. In fact, I've got an idea. Put it on widescreen. I don't know how much if that improves. Unfortunately, with the widescreen, I don't have a means to light up the inside of the speaker, so it's dark. It gives a bit of to kind of give you a wider peripheral. Hang on a minute, I'll use the torch on the other phone. Stick the torch on, see if that'll help a wee bit. Because, as you say, when I've got the camera set on wide range, the actual light on the phone doesn't work. So I have to use another light and shine it in. I don't know if it's any better for you or what. I can't see what I'm filming now and just kind of hitting a mission. I can't really, I don't have any other means at the moment to anyway, that's the best I could do for you at the moment. So, in a nutshell, that's about it really. I looked up the specifications for the speaker, by the way, and there was a circuit diagram and specifications that he managed to find online that gives the wattage. It says 20 watt. The whole speaker system is 30 watts. However, the amplifier is actually 45 watts per channel. So a grand total of 90 watts, hence the name, Goodmans Module 90. It's an amplifier tuner, which I showed you at the start. I've already showed you that anyway at the start of the video. But the speakers are rated at 30, and this bass speaker or woofer speaker, going by the specifications online, rates it at 20 watts. And I'm only going to guess, because I haven't got I don't know what the wattages are for the 2 remaining speakers. I don't know what the wattage is for the mid-range. I'm going to guess it's going to be maybe like 7 watts, and the top tweeter, high range, will be maybe remaining 3 watts. That's just a guess. I mean, it'll depend. I won't run at that frequency wattage all the time, because it's not going to be at full volume at the same note all the time. Music is variable, you see. Volume will be set at, different volumes, but the music will play the signal at different strengths due to the characteristics of music. So if you get a music that's got lots of bass, it's capable of producing 30 watts. And this bass speaker's capable of handling up to, it takes 20 watts of sound power. And that's each, by the way, so you've got 40 in total for the both sets of speaker, you're looking at 60 watts worth of sound. So that's really about it. Can't really think of anything else at the moment. I say my dad would go into a lot more detail, but he doesn't do like YouTube videos. He leaves that for me to do. I could do that. Well, it's my idea really. He doesn't do YouTube, but I do, so I can only really give you my knowledge. My dad's out in the car, he's out at the moment, so if he was here he might be able to go into more in depth, but it would be more along the lines of an engineering side of things, whereas you would really need to be a qualified engineer to understand and appreciate what's being said when it goes into the technical side of it. Whereas I'm just sort of like just showing it for general showing, viewing purposes, and you could just see what the bits look like. I could name what the main components are, like as I say, inductors. I believe these are, well, I was told they're inductors. Coil of wire, and just as a whatever. You got each capacitor, you know, that are encased, being radio capacitors, they're encased in this protective covering to shield it from interference, other frequencies. You don't want any other radiation or radio frequencies coming in and interfering with the capacitor, because it's all set up for acoustics and sound, you see, and it's very sensitive. So any interference going in there will affect the sound of the, you know, the music's got, the hi-fi purpose is to reproduce the sound to as close as possible. So you put the record on, it's got to reproduce the signal on that record. It's got to come off the record, right, and it's got to come out that speaker as close as it is as to when it was recorded, which could only be as strong as the record itself. But if you've got a setup, maybe a cheaper stereo for example, it might not be quite reproducing it to the same level, so you'll get distortions and it won't sound as good. So the aim of a hi-fi is to get the sound sounding as good as it was when it was recorded at the studio, and that would also depend on the quality of the record or tape or video. So it can only really, it's got the purpose is to reproduce it with as little distortion as possible. So everything's finely tuned. Yeah, I don't know the ratings of the capacitors and all the rest of it. My dad will know all the different, I mean the ratings are written on it, but all the bipolar capacitors. But you know, all the setup, the exact circuit, how it all works, I don't know that. It's you can see the circuit board anyway. I mean, it's 50-year-old technology. Well, 50-year-old technology as it was in the general, as it was generally known as. In other words, there may have been technologies around at that time that we never heard of. Perhaps that's just my idea. I mean, for all I know, they could have had Wi-Fi and everything that we've got nowadays 150 years ago, for all I know. You know what I'm getting at. But certainly on the main knowing, this was what was around anyway. To my knowledge, there wasn't things like Wi-Fi or the internet as we know it anyway. So this is just showing you what was on the market then, if you like, 50 years ago. It's the technology that was used in a fairly high-end stereo. In the speakers anyway. And as I say earlier, I've opened up the amplifier, I've done a separate video. Mend it Mark restored this amplifier. You'll see it on his video. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description to his video. The record player, I opened it up here to see what was inside it, and I made a video of it. However, I drove that to a shop in Edinburgh to get restored. So there's no really any video of it being restored because it was done differently. Different person, different company. Whereas Mend it Mark of Perton Electronics. Mend it Mark is the guy that does the work. He's got his YouTube channel and he actually filmed doing the work on that. I know, as I say, I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. But you can still see inside this anyway because I opened it up and done a video of myself before I sent it off. And I opened that up myself so you could get to see inside that as well. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description for that and that as well. The ones that I done, including the Mend it Mark one. In fact, I'll make a wee note to remind me. So that way they'll have seen inside the complete hi-fi system. And I could probably even do a separate video of the hi-fi system when it's all switched on. But I'd have to watch for like the copyright. But you'll at least get to see all the lights and maybe get a couple of seconds worth of music just to prove that it all works, kind of thing. But anyway, there you go. That's it done. That's video complete. So okay. Right, so that was it. It was just a very brief tour inside the HIFI speaker. The whole stereo, as I say, is 50-year-old. It's vintage, and when it was playing, it's got a brilliant sound, powerful as well. I mean, the bass coming out of that speaker, you can actually feel the parts of the things vibrating around the house. That's how low frequencies tend to vibrate things around the Baltic, because it's got a lot of energy behind the sound wave. So, and that would probably be the cause for that wee circuit board connector on the speaker itself to come loose. On the other speaker, the right hand speaker, or whatever, the left, I can't remember, was that the left one I showed you? Whatever it was, but the opposite speaker anyway, it's the same method of being fitted, fixed onto the speaker metal frame. It's riveted on. Well, you saw how my dad fixed that one. On that speaker that I just showed you, that riveted worked loose. The frequencies, as I say, bass frequencies, that's a bass speaker, and there's a lot of vibration, and that we're reckoning that's the reason, and my dad reckons that's the reason why it came loose, because there's no moving, well, there is moving parts of the speaker, the actual paper cone, so yeah, but there's no like any mechanical moving parts, if you like. Well, technically it is, because it's mechanically moving air molecules, isn't it? But it's not like a car where there's gears and levers that work loose through that kind of mechanism, mechanical. It's just sound waves and the frequency that works things loose. That's why when a big lorry or a bus goes past the house, the windows from the big deep engine tend to vibrate as it goes past. If it's sitting idling, and the deepness of that exhaust from a big engine like a bus or a truck, things in the house like cutlery sitting on a shelf or something, window frame, you get vibration because that's the low frequency that's carrying the sound. The low frequency sound waves carrying that energy that vibrates things around about it, and it could work things loose. The tweeter, higher frequencies tend not to do that. It tends to penetrate. Sharper notes tend to penetrate further. It's more sharper note, irritating, well, like a needle like. Mid-range, well, it speaks for itself. It's somewhere between the low bass and the tweeter, but I reckon that mid-range would be probably nearer the tweeter, because you've got 20 watts of bass speaker, woofer speaker, which leaves 10 watts for the other two, and it's not 5 and 5 because the mid-range is going to take more watts than the tweeter, I would reckon. So I'm going to guess it's be like maybe 7 watts for the mid-range and 3 watts for the tweeter. So you've got 20 watts, a big, heavy, it requires more energy because it's moving more air. There's a heavier note. Low pitch sounds heavier notes. Low pitch sound is a heavier frequency, I suppose, in that respect. Frequency is the frequency, it's the energy, but it's a method of moving the air. It moves more air, I would reckon, per pulse of frequency. And that causes things to vibrate around about it, which can actually work things loose. But anyway, there you go. It was just a very, very brief video. I was always fascinating that. And as I say, this video is just sticking on my channel for anybody else that wants to, like myself, just wants to see inside these things. So, after all these years, when I asked my dad back in the 80s to open up the speaker, could I see inside it? Now I've actually seen inside it. It only took like 40 years, but 40 years later. But anyway, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it anyway. Right, see what else to start on my channel, and I'll catch you later. Right, see you later. Bye for now.